Nima didn't believe in courses. She believed in charts, in case studies, in the slow, deliberate logic of a diagnosis made under fluorescent lights. That was what made her unshakable and unimpressed by fear. When the first patient arrived, a boy no older than 8, sobbing over a wound he couldn't explain, she treated it like a puzzle, not an omen. The boy had no bruising, no inflammation, no injury that made sense. He just woke up and found it there, etched into his skin. "I don't know," he said. "It found me." She ordered tests, blood work, imaging, everything normal. It was stable until it wasn't. The boy died 3 days later. Cardiac arrest, no warning, no sign in his vitals. That was when she noticed it. A brittle ring around the skin, tiny crystals clinging to the broken edges. Salt. Everywhere the wound had touched. She was sure it hadn't been there before. She filed it under anomalies. Tried not to think about it until it happened again. The second case. Same wound, same story. Talking, laughing, asking when she could go home. She died overnight, without warning. And there it was again. Salt. Threaded into the girls. Always after death, never before. She stayed late that night, flipping through brittle records, chasing a pattern she didn't want to see. The photograph was colonial era, the caption long gone, but the wound was the same. When she finally looked up, Amina was standing there, silent, watching her from the doorway. "You are looking for a clean answer," Amina said, quiet, almost kind. "Some wounds don't leave one." "This is no coincidence," Nima said, harsher than she meant. She didn't argue. She didn't need to. It should have ended there. At least, Nima hoped it did. It didn't. 2 nights later, she woke, gasping. A line of fire blazing down her back. No blood, no broken skin, only the sharp, undeniable sensation she couldn't ignore. It was a welt, faint but rising, thin, curving, the same mark. At the clinic the next morning, Nima found Amina, steady hands, careful gestures. "You know something," Nima said. "Some wounds," Amina said softly. "Choose those strong enough to carry them." The words were heavier, older, not an evasion, not quite a confession. That night, she followed Amina to the quiet edge of the city. Amina's house was small, silent. Her storeroom was locked. Nima picked it open. Inside, Nima found what she didn't know she was searching for. She opened it just long enough to find the words, "Transferred wounds require a vessel. Salt is the sign the vessel has broken." She backed away before she even realized it. She barely made it home before the pain struck again. She woke, screaming, the scar stretching, curving, waking like something alive inside her. Not salt yet, not death yet, but something was waiting. Nima couldn't sleep. She watched the city all night, wondering how many other wounds were waiting. The salt hadn't been a mistake. It hadn't been contamination. It was a sign. She just didn't know of what. When Nima returned to the hospital, Amina was already working, cataloging samples. She didn't ask permission. She waited until Amina stepped out, then slipped into the staff quarters. The room was clean, bare essentials, but the locked drawer was different. Inside, she found patient files she didn't recognize, maps tracing wound clusters through the city, and one flyer, Bahari Umwili Medical Relief. Coastal, private, no public listing. Pain is a currency. Some choose to carry it, others choose to sell it. Later that afternoon, she cornered Amina in the stairwell. "I'm coming to Bahari Umwili Medical Relief with you," Nima said. "You won't like what you find." Amina said softly, "I already don't like what I am finding out." She stumbled into the hallway, breathing hard. Salt itched in the lines of her hands, gathered in the corners of her mouth. And then she saw Amina, waiting, watching. "You weren't supposed to find this," Amina said, her voice soft. Nima stared at her, the storm building inside her chest. "You still have a choice," Amina said, in her hand, a veil, salt floating slow and steady. "What choice?" she asked, her throat dry. "You can run," Amina said. "Let the wound destroy you. Or you can name it." Nima's back burned hotter as she touched it. The salt paused, steady, like it had been waiting for her all along. The wound inside her shifted, carving itself deeper. A second curve appeared, forming a shape. But it wasn't finished. Something was missing, something she had to find before the wound finished itself. Nima isolated herself in a hotel on the outskirts, a place no one would think to find her. No friends, no colleagues, no Amina. She wasn't there to rest. She was there to survive. She treated herself like a patient. Sterile workspace, salt laid out like an offering, and the wound. It wasn't random. The wealth was following a path, not chaotic, not straight, deliberate. She took a deep breath and began to trace it onto paper. The burning worsened with every movement. Her hands shook, but she kept going. When she finished, she stared at the shape, half scar, half symbol. Something meant to be finished, not healed, finished. She experimented the only way she knew how. She poured salt around the wound carefully, using the mirror to guide her. The burning slowed. When she traced the shape onto the bedroom floor, the wound eased even more, cooling for the first time in days. But when she tried to cover it, to bandage it like an ordinary injury, the pain exploded. She nearly blacked out from the force of it. The message was clear. This wasn't a wound she could fight. Her mind drifted back to the boy, begging the wound to stop. The woman, pleading to be released. Both resisting. Both dead within 3 days. The salt had come after their deaths, not before. She understood now. The wound wasn't here to punish her. It was here to complete itself. If she fought it, it would crush her from the inside out. But if she finished it, if she trusted its path, maybe she could survive. That evening, they drove past the city, past the new estates, into the broken roads that clung to the coast. Bahari Imwili Clinic didn't look like anything special, but the parking lot was full. Inside, no one cried out, like in the hospitals. Instead, people signed papers. They lay quietly as salt was pressed into their skin. The rich paid to have pain pulled out like poison. The poor were paid to take that pain into their own flesh. In a dark corner of the records room, Nima found what she didn't know she was searching for. A treatment protocol on 10 pages. A warning stamped across the top. Incomplete transfers, identity collapse, memory mixing with memory. The transaction was simple. Pain for sale. "You were in a coma, Nima," Amina said. "After the crash, they said you wouldn't wake. I paid someone to take the wound for you. It seems the person I paid is dead. That is why the wound has returned to claim you." That night, while Amina slept, Nima slipped out. She needed air. She needed a distance. She eventually returned to Bahari Umwili. The archive was locked, but locks didn't matter anymore. She found what she was looking for inside the dusty records, beneath decades of salt and dust. It was the consent form she supposedly signed 7 years ago. At the bottom of a battered binder, she found an address, Industrial Road 19B. No hospital, no department. Nima copied the address. One thing was clear. She had less time than she thought. Industrial Road 19B was buried deep behind the city spots, where the air smelled like rust and burning salt. The building didn't have a name, just a door, and a light that barely lived. Nima pushed inside. As the pain in her back fled sharper, the air inside was thick. It smelled like old paper and salt, something older. People moved through the halls without speaking. Clerks who stamped suffering into paper. Each cabinet wasn't labeled with names, only kinds of pain. Each one marked betrayal, starvation, rebellion, execution. Her wound ached harder with every step. Salt gathered again under her skin. She found the ledger in a room. Subject, NM. Transfer of unfinished wound. Origin, Coastal Rebellion, 1957. Carrier, voluntary, deceased. Current vessel, active. She would die if she didn't find the truth behind the wound, and the wound would jump to someone else. The registry hadn't healed anything. It had only moved pain from body to body. Nima decided she would walk by feel, not faith. She poured a circle of salt, her hand steady even as her chest tightened. The salt eased quietly, like it knew what was coming. Inside the circle, she laid out the tools, sterilized everything the way she would for a patient. Only this time, the patient was her. She stripped down, studied the wound carefully. It wasn't wild anymore. It had formed a path, a place that begged to be finished, a place that had waited for her. She knelt, her breath slowed, her heartbeat roared in her ears. Carefully, she mashed the blade to the unfinished line. 1 inch, 2 inches. The pain exploded through her like a second sun. Salt burst from her pores, burning her throat, blinding her eyes. The air twisted. She collapsed into the salt. Memories fade and the room settles. Nima's trembling slows. The burning faded. The world stopped spinning. When she woke, the room was still. The wound was sealed, not erased. Sealed like a door finally closed. It would never fully disappear, but it belonged to her now. No one else. Outside, life moved quietly around her. The city beginning again. No miracles, no applause, just survival. Owned completely. Some wounds break you, some wounds shape you. She chose the shape ours would take.